well, then like it, the broadcast. Also, share it. So invite your friends and your not so friendly friends, your frenemies. Tell them all that Mayegun today, Mayegun is live. Tonight, we are dabbling into what has now turned to war of words and reaction from the supposed opposition base to Tifnumbu. Let me remind you of something here. On Mayegun's diary political, right? We have, groups that we believe have, different sort of like cause or fights that they are pushing. And to us, all those fights are legitimate because they are the creation of the failed leadership in that contraption. Therefore, we consider these groups, right, as having something in common. And what is that? Having a common enemy, a system that has alienated a lot of them to come up with their own best better solution to how they could get a fair sort of like a treatment in that contraption. These groups, they varied. So you have the Sowore, Omoyele Showore's group, Revolution Now, for what we know them for. Then you have the Obedient, Peter Obi's movement, for their own also record. We have the IPOB, the indigenous people of Biafra, who are not interested. You see the first two groups, they are pro-Nigeria, like they are one Nigerianist. But their own idea of Nigeria, right, is completely different from what you have right now by their own definition and preaching. So therefore, they are like pro-Nigeria. But you see this IPOB, Yoruba Nation, even these two, by the way, the Yoruba Nation, the IPOB, they are also the creation of the injustice in the system where they prefer, the Biafrans prefer to not be part of this whole mess anymore. They want away from this. Same with the Yoruba Nation advocates. So in all of this, right, there is a one stumbling block, which on Mayegun's diary political, I always do my best to remind all of them. Because somehow, by human machination or by divine sort of like projection, I don't know, all of these groups do not agree. Meanwhile, they have one common enemy, and that is those who are the owners of Nigeria. We call them the ruiners of Nigeria. Omoyele Sowore and the Obedient, right? Literally, like they can't wait to kind of slaughter themselves, literally, I mean, not like physically, by the way, maybe physically too, right? So similarly, when you see the IPOB, to compare them with all these groups, right, they do not just want to have anything to do with them. And again, the Yoruba Nation, the real and the others. But when you come to think of it, all these groups came to be because of the marginalization, the injustice, the inequality, the corruption, or whatever else that actually created them. And who are those who created them? Those who are still in charge of that contraption. So somehow, they are also responsible for the delay in achieving whatever all these groups have like as their goals, the Obedient to, the Revolution Now, the Yoruba Nation, the IPOB. They all have one common enemy, like I said, the ruiners of Nigeria. Except the system that empowers them is broken, totally destroyed. The revolutionary won't have their way. The obedient won't have their way. The IPOB won't have their way. Everyone seems to like be in a quagmire. So to the luck of the establishment, there seems to be no end in sight when all of these people will realize that by them somehow coming together, right, to get rid of a system that initially brought about this, right? Except that happens, right? The establishment will always win. It's like betting against the house. So what is going on? It's been a while that some of us have been observing. For example, we have listened to the beautiful ideas of Sowore about how he intends to kind of like fix that contraption. Similarly, the Peter Obi that you listen to all the time, his ideas kind of like are so relatable, practicable, that he has won for himself a sizable demography of citizens of that in Nigeria and outside Nigeria. No one should deny that, right? But for some reason, right, it seems on the Omoyele Sowore side, like he's got so much energy. Okay, let's put it this way. Omoyele Sowore, as a journalist, has used this platform, right, to help expose the rot in that contraption. You have to give that to him. Even though that has sort of ending so much, like, I don't want to use haters, I would say so much people who don't like his gods. To some extent, he is believed to have been a willing to, in the hand of the same establishment that he publicly derives. So in that regard, right, some have been doing so well. So take away the credit of what he actually contributed to this political conversation in that contraption way back. Some still blame him though, right? In so instrumental to how APC Ebekebe got to power in Nigeria. Something he himself says he had no regret about. Anyway, then came by Obi. Obi, who happened to be like from the private sector, then into the political sector, became a governor, all right? And judged to be like the one of the most non-corrupt and incorruptible politician from that contraption that boldly challenged the system himself. If they have any sort of any debt on him, right, they should not hesitate to publish them, and he would stop all of this. He challenged them, but none of that came to be. So why has it become so impossible, for example, right, or somebody like Sowore, right, who believes that the establishment needs to go, and then find it so difficult to see beyond wherever, I mean, I don't know if even if it is a personal or not, right? Right? See beyond Obi, and then the move, I mean, then see through the movement that the establishment has created. The same establishment he himself is fighting. So that is why a lot of people have been so pissed lately. And some of you are watching right now, and there is a chance that Sowore himself will be watching. So maybe they may have a chance to pass on some messages tonight, especially to those of you who believes in that you're one Nigeria. So they are talking about a coalition, and that is they all have to come together. We are talking about the coalition of the same characters responsible for more than half of what is wrong with that contraption right now, offering themselves that they want to save Nigeria. But somehow they lack credibility, right? So they need that credible person, and that person happened to be Obi, which means they wouldn't mind to use him to clean their own dirty slate, launder themselves clean, and push themselves back to power. Something Sowore himself has sort of like repeatedly accused this coalition people of. I mean, in fairness, right, I have raised a personal concern that from where to where would you see Obi and El Rufaya together? Like, in what world would they come together and say they want to form a coalition to save Nigeria? But that's just my own opinion. So again, like I said, in fairness to him, okay? But Nigeria is burning, as much as we know it, under this APC, and all that. The work of the opposition currently is to possibly be offering the people an alternative. Somehow, the opposition should possibly, like, at least, if not compromise, to speak in the same language, in one voice, even if they have their differences. I have never really seen what I have been witnessing between this Obi, between Sowore and Obi. As much as Obi will not even mention his name, he won't even reply, he won't even do anything. But the pattern seems to be like almost the same. And I'm like, okay, I'll give you instances. The one that actually led to all of this right now. Okay. So the news broke that Sheyi Tinubu got bounced from shaking the Pope. All right. And then another video popped out where Obi and Fayewon were also seen to be bounced. But at the end of the day, they were all in the same hall where picture shows that they were there, right? Then we saw Obi greeting Fayewon, something that's as horrible as Onofunuga is. He painted a picture of Obi was brought to come and see Tifnumbu in the VVIP section at the front. Now, the VVIP is for the head of state, head of government. He is none of that. All right. But it was like, propaganda on steroid from Sahara reporters. Again, in fairness, except when Sowore responded, okay, in fairness, he has said that he is not fully in charge of Sahara reporters, which means Sahara reporters is operating on his own. It doesn't have to be there, which means he has his own journalist who does all the job. Until when he picked it up, amplified it himself, that's when people believe that he's behind it. And what are those? From this issue of going to Rome to poke this and that, right? In a single day, Sahara Reporter published more than 4 or 5 different stories. And they were like so ridiculous that I'm like, what is the end goal, Baba? Because at the end of the day, right, all this tearing yourselves and all of that is to whose advantage? Is to call whose advantage? Somebody who claimed to be passionate about rescuing that contraption, right? If they really care, they will concentrate their energy on the people who are actually responsible for the destruction of that contraption as we speak, even those who are responsible for putting your own life in danger. Sure. In a single day, Sahara Reporter said, oh, it was bounced. Then another one, it was never invited. Okay. Then another one, oh, he went to Rome because he wanted to see Tifnumbu. Okay. So he tried to see Tifnumbu because of a Supreme Court judgment, 255 billion naira Supreme Court judgment against Fidelity Bank That was why Obi went to Rome, Abba, Sahara. It was like on the road. Oh. Then immediately they said, Sarah again said he was in Rome, and Tifnubu denied seeing him, like refused to see him in his hotel. Like Obi was bounced from Tifnubu's hotel in Rome. Abba. So that kind of made a lot of people worried, including even Sowore supporters. And what is the end goal? Anyway, so I think it was yesterday. Was it yesterday or this morning? That will be responded by kind of like trying to clarify what happened. Like, why would I go and see Tifnubu because of Fidelity Bank? The issue of Fidelity Bank and the court judgment, right, is within the capacity of the bank themselves. And the entire thing has nothing to do with me. So why would I want, what would Tifnubu do? Would Tifnubu say Fidelity Bank shouldn't pay the money? Or what? Fidelity Bank is said to be like worth over 7 trillion naira anyway. So it's more or less like what they, and the story behind the whole thing as well, right? It's nothing to do with him. So in that response, again, right, what people believe should ordinarily be like easy thing. Sowore is or Sahara reporters, they are investigative journalists, all right? So they are there to help us, right, to uncover some of the stuff that have been buried, never to be seen. So Obi called him blackmailer in chief, that's what he's been doing all his life. So rather than address him as Sowore, it was like addressed him as a blackmailer in chief, BIC also. And of course, as expected, it became street fighting between the obedient and the revolutionary. And of course, the Agbadorians as well, they had to join, because tell me about obsession. Anywhere they see where they are dragging Obi, they will be there. And until when you turn around and then drag Tifnubu, and then that's when you realize that you're not friends. In all of this, since what we have been seeing since yesterday, all right, in all of this, there's one thing that all of you should remember, or should I say, to tell yourselves the truth about. Number one, the contraption can be saved, all right? But there's no harm in trying. No. I mean, I do not even have the kind of influence or power to stop you from trying, okay? And I respect those who are also trying as well, okay? But when people ask, what exactly does Sowore want? Because in response, right, Sowore called him, oh, I just forgot that now. By the way, sorry. A lot of stuff trying to go through my mind anyway. Okay, yeah. Sowore called him launderer in chief by calling Obi a money launderer, referring to Pandora newspaper stuff. And it is so sad, right? For somebody so kind of like endowed, so intelligent enough, right, to get himself to where he is today. I'm talking about Sowore, that he had to, he had to dissipate so much energy, right, in pushing a lie, which he himself knows. And the end goal will be like, what's the end goal? To help Tifnubu decimate any potential kind of like a possible opposition or disruption per se. Because that will be the end goal. Pandora Papers spoke about Peter Obi keeping accounts in what do you call it? In a tax haven country. He was not accused of stealing any money from anywhere. And what's the story behind that? He publicly told everyone. He said, the moment he decided I was going to go back to Nigeria and join politics to run for the office of governor in Anambra, not only that, he resigned from his own top executive positions in the banks, his own investments here in the UK, he sold them, put them in this tax haven. So what do you think, or what do you read about billionaires in this world? Well, what they do to kind of like, and it is not illegal. It is not illegal. It's like me making tens of millions of pounds here now, right? And I decided not to take it to Nigeria, right? So the moment you see tens of millions of pounds in my bank or worth of my own asset disposed and